Hey there, friends. How are you today? I am doing fantastic, just fabulous. And, I've been thinking a lot about my life and my experience and my journey. And I've been hearing a lot about self concept out there, lots of videos about self concept. So I was thinking about it, and all of it is true. It's not just some buzz thing, it's not just some new fad. It really is something that affects us in our everyday lives. And our concept of ourselves and how we think about ourselves is what holds us in a place that maybe we don't want to be in, or what takes us to a place that we do want to be in. So I thought I'd make just a quick video about your self concept, what it is, and how you can change it, because I've been able to do it. And I live this life now that is pretty dang charmed. It's still rough. I'm taking care of my 94-year-old grandmother who had a stroke 2 years ago and has breast cancer that's not treated. And, that's kind of hellish. However, I'm able to reframe my thoughts enough every single day to get through it and to have more days of joy like today than just being overwhelmed by it constantly. And yes, most mornings I still wake up feeling funky, and that's just something that happens in my system. But because of self concept and because of reframing thoughts, I'm able to move from a place where it feels uncomfortable to a place that is really open and vast and allowing of awesome future things to come to me. And they come to me over and over. And sometimes I just don't even, I forget. I forget that I've manifested all these amazing things because right now in the moment, maybe my focus or my self concept is off. And what I'm focusing on is lack instead of focusing on, what it feels like to have what I want. So let's first talk about self concept. It's exactly that. It's your concept of yourself. And I wanted to use an example today about myself and my journey. And this is very, very personal. And perhaps a lot of you have experienced something like this or are experiencing something like this. And what I have to share could help you move forward and out of that place. So here it goes. It's hard to talk about, and it's also not hard to talk about. So for years and years and years of my life, I was severely depressed, like the worst kind of depression you could have, okay? And when I was depressed like that, it was my self-concept was I'm depressed. I'm just depressed. I feel terrible. I'm always going to be depressed. I'm always going to feel this way. Those were my beliefs. And your self-concept, essentially, it's your beliefs about yourself. And that's all I knew back then. That's all I knew, because what I was doing was I was looking at what was happening then, and in that moment, in that present moment, and also bringing the past into the situation, I couldn't see that there could be change. So all I did was continually focus on what was happening right now that was uncomfortable. And at that point in my life, it was that I was feeling depressed and that my relationship was terrible and that this thing was going to keep happening in my relationship. My focus was on everything that was negative about my life. That is what my thoughts were continually looping on over and over and over and over again. And I'll tell you what, if that is what you are doing, if that is how you are thinking, you are not leaving any room to change from that place. Your self-concept is of that person. And when you can only see that person, it disallows you from growing into maybe the person that you want to be. And so I'm sharing this particular story because I don't suffer from depression anymore. And that came from me changing my self-concept. That came from me continually marking in my head when I finally realized, oh, there is a different way. There's a different way of thinking. There's a different way of framing my thoughts. There's a different way of moving through life, even though at the time when I was still feeling really depressed, saying to myself, I am depression free. I am living a joyous life. None of that stuff really felt real. And in the beginning, it was really hard to say that kind of thing to myself. But I knew that others had had success. And I am not an exception to the rule. Okay. None of us are. We're not an exception to the rule, the law of assumption, or changing self concept. Um, None of us are. We all function the same. It's just some of us know how to do it and some of us don't. So maybe this video will help you to create a different self concept so that you can move out of whatever place that you're in that feels uncomfortable. So for me, it was depression. It was anxiety. It was a bad relationship. And I was just looping and looping and looping on all of the bad things. So what I did was I started listening to some of the greats like Neville Goddard, and Wayne Dyer, and Joe Dispenza, and Louise Hay, and Florence Scovel Shinn. Okay, so those are some of the great minds in this world who can go deeper into this concept. And I started taking notes and recognizing, okay, I need to take the time to start watching my thoughts and really go deep. And even though I don't believe that this stuff is happening now, I'm going to open the door to the hope that it can happen. And so what I started doing was every time I would think to myself, oh, I'm feeling so depressed, I would then say, okay, wait, I might be feeling depressed right now, but every day I get a little bit better. Every day I am less depressed. Every day I move forward a bit. And I would also take the time to visualize, and not only visualize, but really sit. I did a lot of not deep meditation. I don't want to scare you because a lot of people are so averse to meditation, but I would just sit for like 10 minutes and I would think, what would my life feel like if I were not depressed? What would my life feel like if I were not in this relationship that was detrimental to the both of us? What would it feel like? And what would it look like? And so I would just really sit there, and every day, I took time every day to do this and conceptualize what that would be. And you guys, that's where I am now. Okay? Like everything that I envisioned when I was depressed, and you guys, I was really depressed. I was going to check out. Okay. Everything that I visualized, everything that I felt that in that moment, I didn't think could actually happen for me, but I was willing to give it a try. Everything is where I am now. Okay, so now I'm working on some other things to propel myself forward even more because I know that it works. So it's so important that if you have a concept of yourself, like I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, I'm undeserving, if you're living in lack in any way, it's so important to start thinking about what you're thinking and catching those thoughts, and even sit down and write down all of the thoughts in your head that are keeping you in a certain place. Like, oh, I'll never make that much money, or, I'll always be in a job I hate, or I'm in a relationship that I can't stand, I can't get out of it. I mean, all of these, it's almost like a victim role, right? And I think I've mentioned this before, but we don't like to think of ourselves as victims, and a lot of us think that we're strong. However, the way that we think to ourselves is absolutely in a victim mentality, and it's not It's not our own fault. Like, we didn't create this. You likely came by it, honestly. I mean, my mother and my grandfather were very depressed, and the world outside, most people are very negative. So you come by it, honestly. It's not your fault. So don't judge yourself for the thoughts that are keeping you in the place that you're in right now that doesn't feel comfortable. Just simply observe them, write them all down, and then whatever your thought is, write the opposite of that thought. Okay, so like if you write down, I'm so anxious all the time, then on the opposite of that line, you put, I'm so calm and collected all the time, no matter what comes my way. And even though that's not your truth right now, if you continue to focus on that and you take the 10 minutes to really sit, close your eyes, and honestly, I do this in the shower. So all morning, this morning in the shower, I was focusing on what it would feel like to have the next thing that I am drawing into my life. I find the shower a really good place for that, just because it's just such a genius place to do it. So, when you take a shower, just really focus on what it is that you want for yourself and how it will feel when you have it. And if you don't do it in the shower, just sit down somewhere, maybe when you're driving in the car, someplace where you can fit it into your life. The whole point with self-concept is to take the self-concept that you have that's holding you back, whatever the negativity is that you're thinking in your mind, the whatever the doom and gloom is, the woe is me, and even if it is happening in your life and you're just noticing what's happening in your life, you got to stop it. Just frankly, you've got to catch it in your mind, and you've got to redirect it to either a neutral place or a future vision place. And once you do that, the needle starts moving. You might not notice it at first. I did, actually. I noticed it pretty quickly out of the depression. But I practiced it every day. So it's just really one of those things that the more attention you put toward it and the more you rewrite that thought, and, the more I would think to myself, oh, my depression is getting better and better every day. And then the other thing that I started doing was stopped calling it my depression. Wasn't mine, right? You don't want to own it. So I would then say the depression is getting better every day. So as I did that over time, it really began to change for me. Sorry, it's morning for me. I always have a frog. It really began to change for me. And not only that, I mean, since that point, there have been so many things that I've been able to change through self-concept, through rewriting of my mind, and my thoughts, because your thoughts become things. So the more you think something to yourself and the more you say something to yourself, the more it's going to manifest in your daily life, whether you're trying to or not. So you may as well say some positive things to yourself and direct yourself in that direction, and try and create a self-concept that is one that you want. And just do your best to believe, and understand that that's how it works. The law of assumption is a thing. It actually works. So if you are assuming that you will have a bad relationship and it will continue to be bad, guess what? It's going to continue to be bad. But if you can start assuming that your relationship is getting better and better and better and better, then things will start changing, and or you will move out of the relationship that isn't good for you and into one that is. So there's going to be potentially some pretty big shifting that you might have to do through your changing of self-concept, but that is what's going to bring you to the place that you want to. So don't be afraid of it. Just move forward. I just wanted to make this quick video on that. I know I didn't cover a whole lot. I just wanted to maybe start something in your mind about moving forward and the fact that you can create a new self concept. And it's something that's so important to pay attention to. What is your current self concept? What are you thinking to yourself on a daily basis? And can you take the majority of those negative thoughts that are keeping you in that place and turn them to neutral thoughts? They don't even have to be positive thoughts all the time, because it was really challenging coming out of depression to think positively all the time. But I could think neutrally. Okay. So whatever you can do to get in a neutral place that's not attached to the negative, it's just neutral. Hey, this is just happening right now. I'm moving towards something better. And then taking that 10 minutes a day to really sit with what it will feel like and what it will look like to become that person that you really want for yourself. Sit down and write out all those thoughts that are keeping you in that place, and then write the opposite of them. What would they be? Okay. This is kind of like a little bit of dreaming has to happen here, but a little bit of dreaming goes a long way. And I am proof, because I was ready to check out, you guys. Check out. And I was depressed my whole life. And now I'm 47. I'm not depressed. I'm successful. I'm helping my family out. I'm creating a huge business. I've got so much going for me. And the reason why is because I changed my self-concept, and you can do it too. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. I will explore this topic and many other topics around reframing thoughts and changing self-concept and just ultimately becoming the person that you want to become. And I'm also going to share how I manifested my life partner, because so many people think to themselves that they can't do it, and I did it. So, yep. Anyway, all right, guys, I hope you have a good day. Work on changing your self-concept. You are amazing. You are not the exception to the rule. So it can work for you. If it worked for me, it will work for you. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.